Hi, hello and welcome to this video in which I'll be speaking a little bit and teaching a little bit about the things we can do on top of what we feel called to do already in this time of turmoil. So as I'm recording this video, it is the 3rd of June and we all know what's going on in the world. So I'm not going to go in this video into any of the details, and I'll also intend this video to be rather short so that you can get several really important points and then go ahead and put them into practice or apply them in whichever way you feel is right. So by no means is this video meant to be exhaustive or complete, but it's just a snapshot of what comes through right now, what wants to be shared right now, also like kind of like on an intuitive level. Okay, so there's so many other facets and things that I would like to talk about regarding what's going on in the world right now, but I will keep it to what I'm going to say in this video. And that is kind of like under the umbrella of what else can we do about what is going on in the world right now and do our piece and do our part and contribute in a way so that it unfolds for the highest good of not just you or our families, but kind of like the whole of humanity and beyond. So that this video really comes from the heart, and I was not going to record it, but I had a really strong intuitive blip to just come on in front of the camera and speak about this. I've just recorded some other videos, but this really wanted to come through. So before we jump right in, I would love to invite you to join my tribe here on YouTube and join this channel and follow this channel with the button below, and also hit the bell button. So in that case you actually get a tiny notification when I put up new videos, because if you don't hit the bell button, it's very unlikely, even if you are already subscribed, that you will actually see any of the videos that I will be putting out. So now let's jump right in. What else can we do in this time of turmoil? I've done a few other videos around this topic, so I'm not going to go into the same details as I've done in the last ones. I might actually link up above, probably here, some of the videos I've done before, but this one is taking a little bit of a different direction, something that I might not have talked about in detail here on my YouTube channel or over in my Facebook group Energy Masters. If you would like to become a part of Energy Masters, it's a free Facebook group, so just head over, and the link is also below, just as you can follow me on Instagram and my Facebook profile and other places as well. So I invite you to do that. But yeah, let's dive into any of the things, practices or tools you can actually use and apply in practice to actually make a difference in your own life, in your family's life, and way beyond that. And I'm going to explain that in a second, by doing the things that I'm about to talk to you, or at least start to address, and then maybe in later videos or courses we're going to go more into depth with those. Okay, so one thing that is become so dear to my heart is to work with the ancestral energies. By no means am I claiming to be an expert in this at this stage where I'm filming this video, because there is a lot to it. Okay, but I do know a little bit, and what I do know and I have practiced so far, I feel is actually really important. So looking at what's going on in the world right now, we can have the incentive to do a lot of things. Maybe it is to peacefully protest. Maybe it is to make educational videos on Facebook, on YouTube, and any of the social media outlets. Maybe it is to discuss with family members, with friends, or with your tribe on Facebook or wherever it might be, what is going on and how we can solve that. Maybe it is, again, to go to a protest and peacefully state your truth and your voice and voice your opinion. Maybe it is to post and repost important articles that has helped you or that have helped you. Okay, there are so many ways in which we contribute to bring in a more positive energy and manifesting collectively and also individually a more positive outcome through this whole scenario as 2020 is unfolding. Now, we've heard from so many angles, especially from kind of like thought leaders in the intuitive realm, that 2020 is going to be nuts. I know that Bashar has actually channeled, is kind of like a verbatimly like year 2020, your year 2020 is going to be nuts. So Bashar is an entity from the future channeled by Daryl Anka. I'm not super crazy familiar with them, but I've picked that one up and I really felt that was resonating. And as 2020 is unfolding, I guess you can feel that too. So we kind of like, we knew, or a lot of us knew, that 2020 wouldn't be an easy year, that there would be a lot of craziness happening, unfolding, a light be shed onto the dark, and all of these kind of things as we've seen them unfold. And so again, that's like all of that. There's so much to talk about, and I don't want to go off into tangents, but just kind of like to set the stage a little bit, to set the context a little bit for this video. So there's so many things that we can do on a collective level, okay? All of these things I've just discussed, briefly so far. But what I also feel is very, very, very important is to look more into the ancestral work that we can do, to look more into the generational healing work that we can do. We know from the native tribes of this beautiful planet Gaia that we are connected with our generations, our ancestors, and our predecessors forward, even if we are not necessarily having children. Our energy, our DNA still in some way, shape or form gets kind of like extended into the future. And the native tribes say that we're connected 7 generations backwards from our current personal generation, what we are, but also that what we bring forth and some of that energy, some of this essence that we're living in our current lives is being brought forward 7 generations forward as well. So there is a little bit of a responsibility, if you want to see it that way, to actually, especially if you feel called to this work, which I strongly do, is to look a little bit more into ancestral work, into ancestral healing, into generational healing, which kind of wounds do we have? Okay, personally, I'm from Germany, so I don't need to elaborate a lot on that. Maybe you're from another background where a lot of other stuff was going on in your past with your ancestors. Maybe you have ancestors from different places all around the world, or maybe some from Europe, maybe some from America, whichever it is. And invite you, as I have done as well, to look a little bit into that and look into which cultures or which ancestral lineages or lines are you actually related. You don't necessarily need energetic or psychic abilities to do that. You can just do a little bit of kind of like 3D world research, okay, unless you're already familiar with that, okay. And maybe just take a note of where your ancestors came from, what they did, whether there were any specific patterns or any specific issues that they moved through, maybe even like collectively moved through with other people, or maybe a lot of like ancestor or groups in your ancestry maybe shared a certain pattern or a certain direction or a certain issue, okay? And just start by bringing awareness to that. So those are the first steps that you can do to connect a little bit more with that energy. And the thing is, I also believe that some of that essence, some of that DNA, some of these patterns can be transferred onto us as predecessors, as yeah, through the body, through the blood, through the DNA, okay, and also through our energetic makeup and maybe even our karma and these kind of things. And I don't want to go into it into detail. I also don't want to get anyone into any limiting beliefs or fears or anything like that, but just kind of like to neutrally shed a little bit more light on where we actually come from. Who are the people that we're descendants of? What did they do? Again, did they go through any specific hardships? And just look at these kind of things a little bit. Maybe also there is a lot of kind of like romance struggle in your ancestral line. Okay, maybe there were a lot of divorces or a lot of infidelities or any of that kind of stuff, a lot of divorces, or any of the things that bring with them a lot of emotional baggage that actually gets passed down the lines. And we can clear up those energies a little bit as well if we're someone who feel guided to do that. Now, how does that fit in everything that I said so far with everything that's happening in the world? Well, guess what? To some degree, at least to some degree, everything that is going on in our individual consciousness is also going into the collective consciousness. And we are collective manifestors and co-creators just as much as we are individual manifestors and creators. Okay, so everything that's going on in the world, we could technically see it as a direct, or probably actually more as maybe an indirect reflection of our own consciousness, of our own soul, what's going on, our thoughts, our actions, all of these things. Okay, and again, I don't want to go too much in detail with the workings of it or the mechanics of that, but kind of like just looking at the power that we hold as individuals to do a lot of healing around the patterns that we're seeing playing out in the world right now, with a lot of violence, with a lot of maybe lack of awareness, with a lot of lack of love as well. Okay, and this is not about kind of like pointing fingers or distributing responsibilities or anything like that, but it is doing our own part. It is resolving the things that we can resolve inside of us, so that we don't perpetuate it energetically or with our lineage forward. As we said, the energy resets after 7 generations, so we don't want our baggage to be moved forward by the people and the beautiful souls that come after us in our lineage, okay, or in our groups or communities and tribes. So maybe we can start to look a little bit more into these things, like again, ancestral healing, constellation work, family healing, all of these kind of things that we can do. And there are so many ways and tools and practices to do that. I'm not going to go into any of them. I will probably go into more of these in future videos. Please leave me a comment below if you have any specific questions or want any topics covered, or if you want me to go into any subtopics or directions in a more deep way in other videos. Again, I want to keep this one a little bit more general, just to give you a little bit of an incentive or a little bit of a motivation to look into these things, not necessarily to exhaust these things, because there's so much to it anyways. But yeah, the more we heal our own trauma, the more we heal our own stuff from the past, whether it be past lives or anything like that, or again, generational trauma, ancestral trauma, the more we're able to heal that in ourselves, the more we can actually move forward and leave a cleaner slate for what we're manifesting right now, like our future now moments, and also our generations to come. Okay, and I do believe we do have the tools and abilities to heal all of that, and we don't have to burden our shoulders too much at the same time, and also we don't have to relive all of it, but we can decide to change them in this now moment. Okay, There's so many, again, different perspectives and approaches to that, and again I will discuss them more in future videos, but I hope that this video has sparked a little bit of insight or maybe a new angle to look at things and actually to start resolving our own stuff so that the whole collective can also benefit from it. And if every person does a little bit of that, imagine the collective momentum that this movement, this healing, this transformation, this providing, like kind of like wiping the slate clean for the highest, most beautiful energies of Christed light, of beautiful true light to come in and to be infused and to be lived and embodied by us, and so that we can create this amazing new earth society, this new earth, these new earth tribes, and really live to our highest potential in abundance, in health, in equality, in unity, in oneness, in beauty, where all of these things are equally accessible for everyone. For everyone, no matter where they come from, no matter what their skin color is, no matter their age or their affiliation, like no matter what, where you are able to live an abundant life, a life of freedom, a life of sovereignty. We've already started to move into that, and we all have the capacity to do so, but there's also work to be done and things to be resolved, and we see that in our 3D reality, because the 3D reality is somewhat of a reflection of our collective internal states. Okay, so again, it's like, this is, if this video was a little bit kind of like topsy-turvy, I do apologize. There's so much that goes into it, and then putting it into this greater picture of what is going on right now is equally difficult because there's so much to it as well. So I hope I did a little bit of justice in or a little bit of kind of like giving motivation and inspiration for you to look more into these things and to actually see yourself empowered to do whatever you feel is right to do, to bring your gifts to this whole thing, so that we can move into a world that is, again, abundant, free, sovereign, beautiful, divine. Okay, so this was me rambling on about these things. I will go into a more structured way in future videos, but this needed to come out today. It was a very intuitive nudge that I got, and I hope that it served you. Please let me know in the comments anything that you would like to add to this or would like to explore more, and I can use that and create more content and more information, more valuable contributions. Okay, so please give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and maybe share it if you thought it was helpful, and I'm sending all of my love your way, and see you in the next video.